you would say, "Oh, God sent it. I wonder what
Absolutely.
we've done." Maybe
Absolutely.
it's all Levi's heresy. Hashem is tired of what Levi was saying about Rashi, and Hashem sent the plane to be the wrath of his anger, the rod of his anger.
And I would think so. It'd be like Mida Keneged Mida. You know why? Because like you built this place with your money from the porn industry, so God sent down a huge phallic symbol, a jet airplane. But you know what? You're right. There is no luck in Judaism, but there is mazel. You know what mazel is? It's fortune. And we say a person can have good fortune, and certain things that a Jew does can change his fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is predestined. Everything is written in a book. We say at Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur time that everything is written in a book, but there's three things. We always talk about this. The three things that can avert.
Tefillah,
right?
Prayer, tzedakah.
Right.
Tshuva, repentance.
Tshuva. Right. So like certain things are like set in stone, but you can still like change your fortune, right? Through prayer, through, and that's Judaism. Everything that happens is hashgacha pratis, right? Everything is divine intervention, divine providence, everything that is done, right? But at the same time, everything is written in a book. But, you have the power to change your fortune.
So abortion comes up in this week's Torah portion. Now the Jewish view on abortion is different from the classical Christian one. The classical Christian one is that abortion is the equivalent of murder, and that if, like, a doctor has to choose between the life of the mother and the life of the unborn, he can't make a choice. That's the traditional classical Christian. Not all Christians hold that today, but the Roman Catholic Church does, and much of evangelical Christianity does. Now in Judaism, all strands of Judaism, there's no doubt that if a doctor has to choose between the life of the mother and the life of the unborn, he chooses to protect the life of the mother.
Correct.
Also, abortion is not murder. It's not the same as killing a live, breathing, walking around human being. Now, there are different perspectives in the Torah tradition on how severe a sin it is to commit abortion, and the general consensus of the rabbis who are rooted in the Torah tradition is that abortion for convenience is forbidden. It's not something that we think is cool in the Torah community, that you can't just get an abortion because you want to look slim for your vacation to the Caribbean, or because it's just not convenient right now because you're doing a big movie coming out with Brad Pitt. But
and can I just throw on that I just want to throw an anecdote on that. As we say any kind of elective surgery, because there's a Torah prohibition of harming oneself and causing bruises to oneself. You're not allowed to do damage to yourself, so we're not allowed to have elective surgeries.
Well, there are different views. Like, for instance, Reb Moshe was very strict against abortion, but very lenient if a woman needed plastic surgery. Like, if she was disfigured in some way. Okay,
that's a whole other thing. If there's a lot of poskim that a woman can't get fake tits, right?
Yeah.
Those really I think
disfiguring.
Yeah,
but there are some great fake tits out there.
If a woman has a mastectomy, you know what that is?
Yeah.
Like they.
But she can't get a husband, or she can't get.
No. I'm just saying, if she had a mastectomy, and they removed her breasts, all opinions basically agree she can have reconstructive surgery and create breasts again, because the idea of having her breasts removed can be too traumatic on a human being, right? So we let her have fake ones.
Or if her husband likes big fake ones.
I don't believe that's enough. I don't think, you ask your local Rav.
And it stops him from committing adultery, because he just needs to be with a woman with big...
That's his problem. That doesn't get her... I don't believe that you're going to get a Rav to give you a heter for that. But, hey, you can ask...
She's had small breasts all her life, and that hurts her self-esteem. And so she'd feel more womanly with nice firm...
You can try to sell that. I don't know. I want to hear how it goes.
Hey, if you need help, forming... your sentences for this appeal. So according to the outscroll on Exodus chapter 21, verse 22, causing the death of a fetus is not a capital offense,
Right.
but the person responsible must pay damages. So you can't buy off committing murder or even killing someone. You can't just like pay damages.
Wait, that's not the thing. Oh, okay, I know where you're going.
But with abortion, let's say two men are fighting and they accidentally strike a woman so that she expels her unborn child. The man must pay damages according to the Torah.
Right, as opposed to
if two men are fighting and they accidentally kill someone, you don't just, I'm going to pay you off.
right. Okay, but let me say, in the Christian world, let's just talk about. Let's bring this down to size. She had a, what do you call that when you kick the kid out?
Miscarriage.
Miscarriage. That's what happened here, basically. Right? She had a miscarriage. So let's talk about miscarriage. You know more about Christianity than I do, but a miscarriage in Christianity, they're going to mourn for the loss. They're going to mourn. It's a mourning event. It was as if this, it came through the birth chute, came through the birth canal. It's a human being. It's dead. There's a mourning for it.
I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, really?
I'm not familiar. I don't have any first-person acquaintance with that, and I haven't read anything about it either.
Because I have a friend who's a evangelical. By the way, he doesn't agree with you have to take it up with him. But that thing where you said if the baby, the health of the mother and the health of the child, he said that according to Christianity they would perform the abortion at that point because the mother's life is more important. He told me that, which I was very surprised by. He's an evangelical.
Different evangelicals have different positions, but like classical Catholic position.
Classical Catholic, I can understand that. Okay. So what was I saying? So evangelical, he had 2 miscarriages, I believe, with his wife.
Did, yeah.
Well, yeah. And they mourned for them. And he wrote that to me in an email. He said, we mourned for them. And I was like, okay. Judaism, we don't mourn for a miscarriage, right? Normally, if a child is born, and then like 2 days later they die, we say it was a human being, right? And it gets a mourning. I've been to a funeral for a child who didn't make it like 30 days. They just went straight in the hospital and died. And it's not a pleasant event, and there's like a little box in the whole
Often
thing.
it happens when a circumcision goes wrong.
I don't even think this one...
No, I'm kidding.
I don't think this one even had a circumcision, but whatever.
Yeah.
But if this fetus dies inside the womb and it comes out dead, no mourning whatsoever. We just, bury it. There's no mourning. It's not a human being. And that's because the Torah says, and I wrote a whole thing on this like 4 years ago. I did like a whole thing on this.
Is it in your book?
No, it's not in my book. It was on MySpace. I could dig it up, but
Dig it up and I'll link to it.
well, basically, the bottom line is everyone agrees that from 40 days after conception, Jewish law is from 40 days after conception, the 40th day the soul comes down and it goes in the baby, right? It goes in the fetus, and from that point forward, you've got the makings of the fetus with a soul inside of it. It's got a neshama. It's not a human being at that point. It's not like, you hit it and it dies, you didn't commit murder. But it's more than just like a growth on the body. It's more than an eyeball. It takes on like a partial life. It's like it's like half human. It's like a half person. It's not a full person, it's like a half person. And but it's not really born. It's not really a human being, a full person, until the day it's born. It comes out through the birth canal and it's alive. It's a human being, and at that point, if you kill it, right, then you're a murderer, a full-blown murderer. That's a human being. But while it's still in the womb, it's not considered a fully born, full person until it comes out. Now, the question is, during the first 40 days, you're not allowed to abort it, ever. From the 40th day on, according to everybody, you cannot abort this thing. Except I think there's one opinion, like the Tzitz, Eliyahu.
There's some very lenient opinions.
But I don't even want to go there, right? The Tzitz Eliyahu, I think, is the one. I don't even want to deal with this guy. The first 40 days, it was like an argument. Because the question is, when does the soul come down? And most opinions say from the 40th day on, and prior to that, it's like, my bialma, it's merely water. And it's not even a fetus. But there's some opinions that say from conception on, it's like the soul comes in then, you can't have an abortion. But so that's a very, very